The to-go cups here are this big, so you can get a big styrofoam cup of tea to go. It's a big draw. Really, I'm going to get one before I leave.
Okay. 8 or 9 weeks into session, about a dozen or more to go. A bill filing deadline is coming up on March 8th. So it feels like we're in a lull, but there is a lot of behind the scenes work. A lot of the lawmaking happens outside the Capitol, at venues within walking distance, not under the dome. With 181 members, there's generation gaps, gender differences. All the lawmakers aren't going to do business the same way. And so we wanted to explore those venues and see what makes them so attractive for lawmakers and why they do business there and not at the Capitol. The cloakroom is underground, it's dark, and so people can maybe have a quiet meeting in a corner. And the Austin Club is very much, goes back decades, long history, networking opportunity there. There was a place that no longer exists called the Quorum Club that held such prominence in the 80s with the legislature. And then the Chili Parlor, very casual. You stop in for a meeting, just a lunch. The culture of that place is very much Austin.
The Austin Club, I believe, is the political club of Texas.
It's hard to meet in the Capitol. You know, it's just full of people, particularly during the session. Over here, you can come down, sit down at a table, have a cup of coffee, a couple of beers, and just have a discussion.
And the Austin Club is the oldest city club, founded in May of 1949. We moved into this building in 1980, and prior to that, we were directly across the street. It's been a phenomenal location. It's one of the 10 oldest buildings in the city of Austin. From 1878 to 1898, if it happened in Austin, Texas, it happened in this building here. The governor's balls were held in this building. It's always had a very, very strong tie to the state capitol. The legislative session was held here in 1887. The existing chambers had burnt, so the governor authorized funds to rent this building. Kind of neat to have a building that physically served as the state capitol of Texas.
You know, we're comfortable with legislators being in here. It's back in the early 70s. There was the Deck Club, the 40 Acres Club. The Quorum was a very popular place for a number of years. All those places are gone now, though, and we managed to hang on.
Governor Perry said, you know, Ken, I grew up in the Austin Club. I've spent my whole political career in the Austin Club.
Legislation was discussed here with great frequency. I had a couple of meetings with folks who were not on board with my concealed handgun law here. You know, over a drink or two, they began to understand that the bill was likely to pass and that they should get on board. We weren't getting him drunk, so he'd come around on our side because we knew the next day he'd be sober when it was time to vote. So
it's somewhat like a Cheers environment. By the time your butt hits the seat, they have your drink down for you, you know?
They know you by your name.
Where everybody knows your name.
My name is Nick Kralj, and I've been in the lobby business, in the bar and restaurant business for many years. Initially, we all hung out at a place called the 40 Acres Club, and a lot of the legislators would go there. And that was sold in 1972, so we didn't have a place to go. So in 1973, I opened a place called the Quorum, right as the session opened, and it became a very popular place, the place. Well, you come in and, you know, the governor might be there, lieutenant governor might be there, the speaker. You could interact with them in a comfortable situation, and we looked after everybody, made sure that their privacy was protected. Most of the business is not done at the Capitol. It is done in places like I had, where people, when they're comfortable with somebody to talk about and explore ways to get past legislation or kill legislation. You don't do that in the Capitol if you're smart. There's another one. I think in the times when I had it, it wasn't as conflict at the legislature, and people would come to one place and they'd get to know one another, and become friends regardless of whether they were conservative, Democrat, or Republican, or liberal. Everybody was there. And you needed to be there because you had an opportunity to find out a lot of information from your fellow lawmakers and from lobbyists, and it was an educational place, plus you had good food and plenty of whiskey.
3 levels of chili, right? There's 1X, 2X, and 3X. 2X is pretty hot.
We opened 43 years ago. About a year after this place opened, the legislature proclaimed Chili the state dish of Texas. It's just a real friendly, laid-back place. Everybody knows us. We get a lot of tourists from around the nation, around the world, because Quentin Tarantino filmed the movie here, Death Proof.
This place definitely has an Austin feel. I was elected in 2002, so this is one of the first places we started eating when we got here. We do a lot of business here, a lot of meetings take place here. We'll talk about bills, we'll talk about issues back home.
Our lunches are increased probably 20-25% during session.
The closeness to the Capitol is obviously a draw, but of course we got to know the people here very quickly, and the good food and the good prices.
It's just the fact that they can get away from the Capitol or get away from their offices. It's loud, so they can talk without being heard. And the advantage of doing business in here is probably people let their guard down a little bit. They're a little easier to talk to.
Something social about having a meal together, right? It's a bonding experience. Republicans and Democrats are going to differ. And usually we can listen to each other and work it out and get to the right place. It is a lot easier to get business done and to get things worked out when you're having some good queso.
I mean, location, 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 right? This is the closest part of the Capitol. To me, the coolest thing, though, about the cloakroom is lots of people go by this without realizing there's actually a bar here. There's really no place in Austin that's anything like this. It's like a sunken double-wide trailer, you know? You open the door, and if they know who you are, everybody goes, "Hey, Root," or whatever, and then you can't see anything for like a minute and a half, and you're just kind of like feeling yourself around in there. This is the neighborhood bar for the Capitol community. It's a bipartisan crowd. In this day and age when there's so much divisiveness in politics, it's a good place to get a drink where party labels are not important. Well, you know, like in the corporate world, people say there's more work that gets done on the golf course. For here, it's places like the Cloakroom, the Chili Parlor. Over a drink, you know, you might discuss what's in your bill or whatever. There's definitely some of that goes on. My introduction to the Cloakroom really came when I realized that it was a great place to pick up political intelligence. More recently, there was a conservative group that was filming lawmakers and attempting to catch lawmakers doing bad things, or I think that put a chill on the scene at the Cloakroom for a little while. These other bars have come and gone, and the Cloakroom has been a real survivor. It's a great bar.
How many drinks was it?
Enough.